Running as the majors meeting that preceded it overran slightly. I'm Councillor Edgy Labour, the committee chairman. First meeting of 2018, so Happy New Year to you all. Although most of you have heard that once before because you sat on the majors with me tonight. Can I do apologies for absence, please, which really will move it around.
Apologies received from Councillor Morgan with Councillor Chamdale substituting and Councillor Duduco with Councillor Stead substituting.
Thank you. Any declarations of interest? No. Minutes of the meeting, I'm assuming it's 5th of December it is. 5th of December, can I take those agreed and read? Agreed. Yeah, good. There are no matters notified in advance or urgent. There are two amendments to tonight's agenda from the one that was published. The item number 8 at Midhurst Cottage was withdrawn by the Head of Planning for further consultation and will come back to a later meeting. The item at 53 Wheeland Road, the petition has now been withdrawn, so that will be heard as a non-petition item, so there are no speaking rights on that item. Which leaves me down to two petition items, which will make life easier. Okay, let's do the usual announcements. This is a meeting of the committee held in public, not a public meeting, so the speaking rights are as per the Constitution, as per the committee report, and as I would outline in a moment. This meeting is being transmitted live on the Council's YouTube website. The cameras focus in this direction and pick up everyone using their microphones clearly, so please all do so. Petitioners, when they address us, will be visible on camera and will be heard. Those sitting in the audience are not heard. If there is a fire alarm, we're not expecting it, so we assume it's for real, and there's a fire exit there and another one hidden in the corner behind me. Can I please ask all mobile phones are switched off, but members should have managed that because they did it for the last meeting. In terms of the meeting, for the petition items, officers will do a presentation which supplements the report members have already had and read. We will then hear from petitioners, applicants or their agents, although given the small number of people in the room, I don't think we've got all of those. There are no ward councillors present and none have indicated they're intending to join us. Petitioners get 5 minutes to present their case, 4 minutes on a green light, a minute on amber. When we get to red, you've had your 5 and I will stop you. Members may ask questions of anyone who addresses us. The voting members of committee tonight, I'm going to start, I did this last time, I'll start on my left again, why not? Councillor Catter, Councillor Dillon, Councillor Oswald, and working down this side, I've got Councillor Graham, Councillor Flynn, Councillor Higgins, Councillor Chamdale and Councillor Stead. If they manage to get to a tied vote, you'll find out what I think, but hopefully not. Peter Loveday is doing any transport angles. Mandeep Mahatra is presenting for us tonight. James Roger, the Head of Planning, will offer us advice as required. Anisa Teji from Democratic Services is my clerk. Roisin Hogan is our planning lawyer. And if you want to give feedback to Democratic Services on the conduct of this meeting, there are orange feedback forms that I can see. With all that done, I will move straight to item 6 on page 5 of the committee bundle. 3 Albany Close.
Thank you, Chair. Good evening, members. The application before us is for a site at 3 Albany Close. It's located on the southern side of the close, as shown in the location plan on the screen. The application seeks permission for a single-storey side extension, the conversion of the roof race to provide habitable use with 2 rear dormers and 3 front roof lights. The application is recommended for refusal. The application has been to committee before in a different form. If I go through the proposed plans, this shows the roof plan that's proposed to be used as an additional bedroom at first floor level. The 2 dormers are indicated on the top of the plan and they face the rear of the property. The 3 roof lights that are proposed are just in that line there. The elevations do show that a little bit more clearly. The proposal also incorporates the side extension, which is the conservatory, and a side stroke front extension which proposes a new garage. At the moment there is an integral garage here which would be removed, and the proposal would have intended to move the garage to this location. The application is being refused due to the scale and nature of the dormer extensions, due to the site being located in the Ickenham Village Conservation Area. I have got a comparison for members to review. So the application that was refused late last year sought permission for hip to gable extensions of the roof alteration, as well as a front dormer window and some on the rear. Now that was refused. I would just say that the applicants have taken on board some of the advice that was provided and taken away the hip to gable element of this scheme. So the current proposals are for take on board the current roof form, but unfortunately the dormers are still too big and out of keeping in terms of the conservation area principles, and therefore the application is recommended for refusal.
Thank you. We have a petition on this one. Terence and Elizabeth Clark, I don't know who's speaking. I think it's Elizabeth by the look of it. If you just press the button on the middle of that microphone, it will light up, and we will start the timer as soon as you start talking.
Good evening, and thank you for giving me this opportunity to explain our concerns regarding this planning application. I live at 2 Albany Close, and I'm speaking on behalf of the residents of Albany Close and Halford Road to the rear of the property. The residents in Halford Road and ourselves have always had complete privacy, but any windows in the roof space of number 3 will cause overlooking. Mr. Dixon of 36 Halford Road has lived there since 1968, and he was assured by the Chief Planning Officer in 1970 when the close was built the question of being overlooked would not arise, as the properties would be bungalows, and the 9-foot-high old boundary wall would be retained. Mrs. Mays of 34 Halford Road has also been there for many years and says she bought the bungalow because it was not overlooked. From our point of view, any windows on the front of the property will look directly into our dining room onto our dining table. We would all like the plans to be reviewed totally, but if your decision is to approve these plans, then may I please ask that all windows of the roof space to be non-opening and obscure glaze so as to maintain our privacy. Another cause for concern is the size and positioning of the garage and the storage unit. The original garage, which they have changed into a bedroom already, was at the far end of the bungalow, well away from ours. The positioning of the proposed new one will be right next to our boundary wall, and all cars will pass right by our lounge and dining room, causing noise and fume pollution. The original garage was a double-sized garage and was large enough for my neighbours to park his Bentley and a Ford Escort side by side. Our garage is a similar size, and we can comfortably park 2 cars in it and also have storage shelves along the side. Why do they want one so large, and why do they want a large storage unit? Are they planning on turning this into a builder's yard? In our deeds and number 1s, so I assume it's in all of the others of the close, there is a clause: no trade, manufacture or profession other than doctor, dentist or solicitor should be carried on, and no garage or outbuilding shall be used other than for private purposes in connection with the dwelling house. And there was a mention in the planning officer's report of the position of the garage of number 5 Albany Close as a precedent, but I know it was disregarded, but I'd just like to clarify that this was the original garage built with the bungalow and not an extension. I would also like to refer to the comments of Councillor John Hensley's that we are in desperate need of single-storey dwellings in Ickenham for those local residents wishing to downsize, yet remain in the community to which they associate themselves to be able to remain with friends and also activities. We are prime examples of this. We moved into the house of number 1 Albany Close 32 years ago with a family, and we always said if any of our neighbours moved from their bungalow, we would be interested. 18 years ago, our neighbours from number 2 moved to Sussex, so we sold our house and bought the bungalow. It was a perfect move. As we're getting older, the family has moved out and my husband has health issues. It is a small residential close, and when Mrs. Webster, who I have never met, bought the bungalow over a year ago, we were all told by her sons, who just happened to own a construction company, that she would be moving in. While we knew there would be some improvements she would want to make before moving in, we're all finding it hard to comprehend why she would need so many bedrooms, bathrooms, a large extension on the side, and a massive garage and storage unit. This extension will have a huge impact on the rest of us in the close and Halford Road, with overlooking and increased traffic, etc. And can I also bring one more thing to your attention? They've installed a large commercial boiler heating system in the centre of the bungalow and put the flue through the front of the roof, emitting fumes outside our dining room. In the conservation area, the flue should be fitted on a principal or side elevation if it fronts a highway, which this does. I have informed the council planning officer at the time, but I've heard nothing. So can I just please ask for this to be investigated and moved if appropriate? Thank you very much.
Thank you very much indeed for that comprehensive petition. Has anybody got any questions? No? Thank you very much indeed.
Thank you.
Is there anyone here on behalf of the agent or the applicant? Okay. It is earmarked officers for refusal. The petitioner raised a couple of matters. In particular, the issue of the garage, which is covered on page 9 of the report. It would appear that we're not sympathetic to that garage, but it doesn't figure in the refusal reason, which is the why not, I think. Yeah, is that what you were going to ask?
It is actually, because of its location, which is to the front side, it is actually in the reason for refusal, so the single-storey side extensions, so the rear dormer windows and the single-storey side extensions. We can be more explicit if need be. Okay.
Does that answer it, or do we need to get that garage in there specifically?
The officer refusal reason is only covering visual amenity issues, but the petition is raising residential amenity issues.
Right.
So members would need to add a second refusal reason if they want to cover. It wouldn't be anything to do with altering the first reason. It would be a whole new second reason.
Okay.
If there's a concern regarding impact on residential amenity of the adjoining occupier.
Can we look at that on those plans, and then I'll bring Councillor Oswald in a second. What do we got?
It is covered on page 10 about the impact on number 2 being acceptable because there is a degree of separation. I wouldn't say it's substantiated as a reason for refusal, a further reason for refusal on an impact on amenity.
On balance, which way are we? Are we on? Is it on balance judgment? I can't.
As your sort of senior professional advisor, there is a bit of an on-balance consideration here that it's entirely inappropriate for members to debate regarding whether there should be a second refusal reason, in my view.
Councillor Oswald.
Thank you very much, Chairman. Yes, I think we should use this as a second refusal, or a second reason for refusal. There are enough reasons to refuse this anyway. There's enough on page 12 and page 11. So I'm going to move the officer's recommendation with that second reason for refusal. Thank you, Chairman.
Okay, can I just take Councillor Higgins?
Yeah, I would second what John said. I do think it's important for us to add additional ones to this because that actually does affect.
Yes.
So on that note, it's fine. Obviously, the flu issue I would like.
Well, the flu issue I was going to pick up at the end.
Please, and I'll second what.
Right. Let me just get the head of planning's clarification.
We need to talk a bit further and expand upon. So what you've got here is the garage, to all intensive purposes. If we go to the end of the garage, so furthermost point away from number 2, you've got projection more than 4 metres back. So as members beware, that's where under normal circumstances does raise concerns. What the officer is saying is it's splayed. What I think members are saying is they note that it's splayed, but they're still concerned. So effectively, without putting words into members' mouths, what you'd be saying is that looking at issues as whether you think it's going to affect the kind of outlook and residential amenity currently enjoyed by the occupiers of number 2.
I think. Do you, Chairman? Also, I don't know whether it makes any difference or not. They have removed the garage and made it a habitable room. If they really needed a garage, why did they change it?
Yeah.
I'm just asking. It's just a question.
I think it's the new one that we're concerned about.
Yeah. As I'm saying through you, that you buy a house, you have a garage.
Yeah. And then
if you really needed a garage, you wouldn't then decide to make that a habitable room. You'd keep it as a garage.
Yeah. So, No point. A well-made point. So, I'll obviously ask the head of planning to do the wording of it, but could I take it that we are concerned about the impact on residential amenity of that garage, and that's our second. Yep.
Yeah.
You happy with that, James?
It's certainly an entirely valid thing for members to consider as a possible second refusal reason.
Okay. So I think we're now with two refusal reasons and not one. I have a proposer. I have a seconder. All those in favour of refusal, please clearly show. And that's unanimously refused. Thank you very much. And obviously the delegation to the head of planning to sort the wordings out. Right, I'm going to move to 9 because that's the other petition item on my list tonight. 8 Monks Close, Ruislip. I think when you're ready.
There you go. The application at number 8 Monks Close seeks the conversion of the existing dwelling into one one-bed unit and one studio unit with associated parking and amenity space involving a part 2-storey and a part single-storey rear extension. The application is proposed to be refused for the 3 reasons set out on pages 43 and 44, namely the impact of the size and scale of the extensions on number 7 Monks Close, the second reason for refusal being the loss of the landscaping due to the increase in parking provision to serve the development, and the third, the fact the site lies within flood zone 2 and no flood risk assessment has been submitted. I'll just take you through the application plans. The application site lies to the north of Monks Close, just here. If you note on this plan, there is a green area here which provides quite a pleasant setting for the development with some off-street parking spaces located here. I've got some photos of it towards the end. So this is the site plan. By virtue of the separation of the property into 2 units, the garden would also be subdivided with one garden area provided for lower flat and a second garden area for the other. Cycle stands would also be provided as well as 2 car parking spaces in the front garden, but that does lead to the loss of hard landscaping which currently exists. These are the existing ground and first floor plans which are typical of a residential dwelling. The application proposes these extensions at ground and first floor level, and this is the typical front, rear and side elevations, and these are the proposals. So it's the extent of these extensions that causes a harmful impact on number 7 Monks Close, and hence applications recommended for refusal. Here are some photographs of the application site. So it is clear that yes, there is hard standing, but it's supported with quite significant quantums of landscaping, and that's where the proposed parking would be provided. This is the rear elevation of the property. The garden, again, the garden would also be subdivided for the 2 properties. And this is just to confirm the application site is within flood zone 2, so there should have been a flood risk assessment submitted with the application. And this is just a street view. So I mentioned the green sort of verge or within the cul-de-sac, and that's provided here. And this is the application site just here, and those are the other properties all located around the green. The application is recommended for refusal.
Okay, we have a petition on this one. Sheila Ajetsu. That's fine, no problem. If he can just give his name when he starts, so we've got it for the record, that's fine, no problem with that. If you press the button on the front, thank you.
My name is Ayola George, that's spelled A-Y-O-O-L-A, and George like it, the first name. We live at number 7 Monks Close. We've lived on Monks Close for approximately 12 years now. The houses were designed as family accommodation. Whilst I know the planning officers see no reason why they can't be converted into 2 flats, it actually takes away from the character of the close. It's a very small community. Most of the kids have all grown up together. We have a parking problem. I've got 3 kids, 25, 22 and 12. The 2 older ones drive. They have cars now. Our neighbors' kids, 3 kids as well. Most of the kids have got cars now, so we've got pressure on parking. Two extra flats will increase parking problems. Again, like the planning officer said, the landscaping to us is important as well. And it's quite close. It's family orientated. A studio flat and a one-bedroom flat will actually not be family orientated. We've got young kids growing up. They play on the close. So about the only place in London you can actually play on the close. And we're not going anywhere. We're not intending on moving anywhere. And secondly, our light, it'll block our light. And again, the landlord isn't really being honest. The first application that was refused a year ago, he came and said he was doing a side extension. We know he's trying to convert it into flats. He's got a loft extension planned as well. It's not going to be one bedroom and the studio is going to be another one upstairs. And sorry, that's it, really. Yeah. And and we've got petitions from everybody around us who aren't happy about it.
Right. Thank you very much for that. Anybody got any questions? No. Thank you very much indeed. Could you just turn that microphone off for me? Agents or applicants? No. Okay. Who wants to start me on this one? Councillor Higgins, then Councillor Oswald.
I'll go with officer's recommendation.
Councillor Oswald?
Yes, thank you very much, Chairman. Yeah, there are enough reasons to refuse this on pages 43 and page 55, so I'll second that.
All those in favour of refusal, please clearly show. That one's refused. Thank you very much. Okay, I move backwards now to item 8, which was wrong one. 7, 53 Whelan Road, Northwood, the former petition item that now is no longer a petition item. Therefore, Mandy can explain it to us. This is familiar territory for us, guys.
Thank you, Chair. The application before us is for a part 2-storey, part single-storey side and rear extension and the demolition of the existing garage. I believe this application has been before members in the past. There's also been a withdrawn application. I thought the easiest way to present this was to show you the refused scheme set against the current proposals. Now, the application has been brought in line to accord with planning policy requirements, so that's set in appropriately from the boundaries. The design is more appropriate for the area. The separation distances from the boundary also are more in accordance with what is required in order to maintain those gaps between the street scene where there are such big prominent properties. So the plans on the left of this show the refuse scheme. Apologies for that title. It's obviously moved as we've done that. So the left-hand side is the refuse scheme, and then the right-hand side just shows the alterations that have been made to bring this application into accordance with policy, and also made it more appropriate for the setting of the area. The application is recommended for approval. I'm just going to double check. Now, we did have the Gateshill Residents Association write into us. A full copy of their representations is in the addendum. As a result of the comments that they've made, which were justified, the garage in this location, there is a slight concern about it being converted into further residential accommodation within the property, so we're proposing a condition to secure it as parking only, rather than converted to another room at a later date. And the application is recommended for approval. Would you like to see some photos? Yeah.
Might as well do a photo or two.
There you go. So this is...
that's cheating.
The site is actually just on the verge of the corner, so it's just there. So this is you can barely see it, the front elevation. And that's the rear elevation. For information, the property to the right-hand side, number 51, also has consent for some alterations. We do have those plans, I think, if you would like to see them. But again, it's these gaps that we were seeking to maintain and were the principal reasons for the refusal of the old scheme. Because of the new scheme actually providing sufficient distance and maintaining a sufficient gap, this current application is deemed to be acceptable. Thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Flynn, I'll leave you start this one.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I'd just like to actually congratulate the officers and the Gateshill Residents Association and the applicant actually for coming up with a scheme that actually seems to work for everyone, and it's a good example of pragmatism delivering a result that hopefully everyone can live with. So, for the reasons we've heard from the officer, I'm happy to support this and go with the officer's recommendation.
Okay, Councillor Higgins.
For the state of democracy, I would second that.
You would. Anybody else got any other views on this one? No. All those in favour, please clearly show. Thank you very much indeed. Get out of the way. Right, I now move to 4 Ashburton Road, which is somewhere we don't go very often, but...
Thank you, Chair. The application before us is for a part 2-storey, part single-storey side and rear extension, alongside the conversion of the property into 4 residential units. So that would be 1 4-bed unit, 5 units, 3 2-bed units and 1 1-bed self-contained flat. So that, alongside that comes the amenity space and the vehicular crossover to the front. We'll go through the plans, but the application is recommended for refusal for 4 reasons, all set out on pages 57 and 58. So we can see the application site here. The red line plan is slightly unusual in that it extends to cover these vehicular access routes because the proposal includes parking to the rear. The only way to get into the rear is to use these 2 communal access roads. So this is the application proposal. This would be the subdivision of the rear garden to provide garden space for all 4 units. Cycle bin storage, cycle storage, car parking again. So this is the vehicular entrance into the application site. So this again shows all of the alterations and extensions required and then the internal subdivision thereafter. And it is quite a significant extension to this property. Hence the reason that it has been refused due to its prominence, position, the size, scale and bulk, and that's the first reason for refusal. The second reason for refusal relates to unsatisfactory living accommodation. The proposal doesn't actually comply with the London Plan technical or the National Technical Standards. The application also provides inadequate off-street car parking. And also, the final reason we've heard, similar to Monk's Close, it's the provision of an inappropriate landscaping scheme to the rear of this property. I can show you some photographs of the property. So there you go. So that's the front elevation of the site and its juxtaposition to the adjoining property. Elevation looking down the road. So this is the rear elevation, which would obviously be extended. I think the officer has tried to let us know that there is there are lots of trees and also sloping of the land just here. The application is recommended for refusal.
Councillor Oswald.
Thank you very much, Chairman. I move the officer's recommendation.
Councillor Flynn.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I don't think this has got a lot going for us. And it's one of those where, I'm not overly worried about appeal, so I'm happy to second Councillor Oswald.
Does anybody wish to add anything different to that? No. All those in favour of refusal, please clearly show. Thank you. That one's refused. Okay. I move, and I'm going to take a couple of hopefully relatively quick items now. Item 11 is a change of use from A1 to a nail bar, and I think most of you probably know my views on those, that they're virtually the same. I always struggle to understand why hair is in one and nails in another, and no lawyer's ever explained it to me yet.
Well, I'll move it, Chairman.
Yeah,
Can I
thank you.
For you?
Thank you. All those in favour, please clearly show. Thank you for that one. Yes, I know there is. 86 Victoria Road is another change of use from A1 to A1, A3, A5. Effectively retaining the retail use allows them to sell some hot food is the short version, but we're ensuring that it doesn't become a wholly takeaway restaurant.
Just a point of interest to you, Chair. It is the same. It's not a new applicant come in. It's the same one. Just what I'm trying to increase his business. Yeah, on that note, I'll go with officer's recommendation.
I do know something about this one. It is.
There is a condition in the addendum on this one to ensure that there is appropriate vibration protection provided for properties above from the flues and extraction equipment and so forth, which is standard on these sort of applications. Do I have a proposer? Thank you, Councillor Higgins. A seconder? Thank you, Councillor Oswald. All those in favour, please clearly show. Thank you very much. Item 13, I shall leave to Mandy because, well, I just thought otherwise, it's just not fair.
Thank you, Chair. Agenda item 13 is the David Lloyd Health Club in Northwood on 18 Duxhill Road. So the application is seeking planning permission for the installation of an outdoor swimming pool. The application is before us. It would otherwise not be an application presented, but it is a location that's within the Greenbelt. All Greenbelt applications come to us. If we go through the plans, it's easiest to explain, and possibly through the photographs. So this highlights that the application site is wholly within the Greenbelt. If we go through the existing site plans, so this is the existing health club, and you can't see it, but these are some tennis courts, and there is a slope in the land here, so that's the existing building and the area of tennis clubs, and a bank of trees. So this is the location of the proposed swimming pool, which can be seen in this plan more clearly. So this would be the outdoor pool, and it's principally taking into account the existing gradient changes in the land, proposing some steps to sympathetically take it up and walk you back round to the health centre. It is appreciated that the application site is within the Greenbelt, but the proposal is deemed to fully comply with the MPPF, London Plan and local policies. The proposed development would not result in an unacceptable impact on visual amenities, and the proposal would not have a significant detrimental impact on the amenities of the occupiers of neighbouring residential properties, which are some distance from the site. The application is therefore recommended for approval. I'll take you through some, I do have some photos, if that helps.
Sorry? No? Councillor Dillon?
It's just noise impact, really.
On whom?
On residents.
Because I think there's some distance away on this one.
It's surrounded by the tennis court.
No.
Sorry.
People diving in the water, isn't it?
You've got the local residents, then you've got the tennis courts, then you've got the pool.
Yeah, there's a...
I'm glad you switched the mic on.
Councillor Higgins, you can help me with this one.
Well, it might disturb a few ducks, but no, I think it's a good application, and open air pools are really good fun, and everybody loves them. So I will go with the officer's recommendation on this one.
Seconder, please. Councillor Oswald, why not? All those in favour, please clearly show. Thank you very much indeed. I'm about to move into the private session of the meeting. I can ask for the